which is Sergeant Kosi says that he's dropping the goggles, then coming to you, and you then say, ask it to make a turn. So if you look at what Commissioner Khumalo is raising with you, and what I've just read to you now, to an ordinary reader, that sounds like you were just inviting Mr. Matlala. This idea that he was coming to pick up his wife who had taken a lot of liquor doesn't make much sense. Because all you would say to him is, and by the way, Mrs. Matlala needs to be picked up. Please ask her to come pick her up. You don't say, ask her to make a turn. You are inviting him.
If this is maybe how commissioners maybe see it, I will really, from where I'm sitting, just stick to the fact that when I said ask her to make a turn, in my mind I was implying that you can ask him to make a turn, it doesn't really matter. I don't have a problem.
Who had said anything about a problem? That's the thing.
No,
Sergeant Kosi, after dropping off these goggles, I'm coming to you. So you're basically saying, also ask Mr. Matlala to come as well. That's, in context, that's what this means. This thing about Mrs. Matlala and so on, and Mr. Matlala having to come pick her up because she cannot drive, in context, it simply doesn't make sense.
General, you're shaking your head.
Are you shaking or nodding?
Rather.
I think he's nodding. I think the general is nodding.
No. It's a chair's viewpoint on this thing, and it's not a fact that I think I should take any further when the chair says it doesn't make sense to me. So to me, I can't argue any further when the chairs.
Ordinarily, people don't speak like that. As khulumi kanjalo, we don't speak like that. All I'm saying is, I mean, you would say, usho kuMatlala ukuthi alande unkosikazi akazukwazi ukushayela imoto ngoba uthande ukuthi kakhulu. That's how you would put it. Please ask Mrs. Matlala to come, Mr. Matlala to come pick up his wife. I'm translating for those who didn't hear. That's how ordinary conversation would go.
Topic, but I'm still going to use that file. Sorry, General, are you there? 111.
111 of file 7 of 10.
Yes.
All right.
So, if you look at chat number 8, at 7:25:44 in the morning, do you see that?
Yes.
Right. So there's a call from Mr. Matlala to Sergeant Kosi that morning, right?
Yes.
Then the next call is made in the evening. We've covered that. That's in response to your question, to ask him to make a turn. So he spoke to Mr. Matlala that morning. And when you then go back to the chat where asked Kat to make a turn, he says, I spoke to him earlier, he promised to come around 8. So he had already been instructed by you to ask Mr. Matlala to come. He says, I spoke to him earlier and he promised to come around 8. And then he has this call again with Mr. Matlala at 19:11 after you ask him, and then he responds to you, he will be there in 30 minutes. So what I'm saying to you is that this is the second request you made to him.
Not at all. I don't agree, Chair.
So when he says, I spoke to him earlier, he promised to come around 8, what did you make of that? What did that mean?
That's a question that Nkosi can answer, because when he says, I spoke to him earlier, he promised to come around 8, I don't know to come where. But I know that, and I don't deviate from that message of ask her to come. But when I say, I spoke to him earlier, he promised to come around 8, I don't know where from. Let's say he was from somewhere not around Pretoria, and says, I spoke to him earlier, he promised to come around 8. Let's say he was in Limpopo, he promised to come around 8. So I don't know. But what I'm saying is that I can't sit here and account for the messages between Kat and Nkosi.
Yes, except that, you see, what he says to you is, I spoke to him earlier, he promised to come around 8. Well, in the context of this conversation that's happening, it's about to come around 8, he promised. It can only mean that he promised to come to your place at around 8 o'clock, because that's the context in which he's answering you. You say, ask Kat to make a turn. He says, I spoke to him earlier, he promised to come around 8. That must mean to come around to your place at 8. It can't mean some other place.
I don't accept that on my side, because the fact that I was talking to Nkosi, like I indicated earlier, Nkosi is one of the colleagues that I worked with that was supportive of me or supporting me in terms of logistics. So I don't accept that it is in relation to Kat or Mr. Matlala to say that I invited him initially, and then because this message would have shown that invite Mr. Matlala at around this the first one that you're talking about. It's not the case. Now, for Sergeant Nkosi to say, I spoke to Kat earlier. Now, when you say earlier could have meant 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or 2 o'clock, or 5 o'clock. Does not necessarily mean to refer to that earlier call.
But if let's say it wasn't 7 in the morning, let's say it was some other point earlier, let's, for the sake of moving forward, say that that is the case. Sergeant Nkosi wouldn't have, off his own bat, invited Mr. Matlala to your place. It would have only come because you asked him to do so, right? He wouldn't do that. As you said, this was a small family gathering.
What if he says, I spoke to him earlier, he said he'll come around 8. After having received a call, that message that said, invite Kat, not invite Kat, ask Kat to come. I don't know, I don't remember how I put it.
You said ask Kat to make a turn.
To make a turn, yes. And let's say he spoke to him in between an hour thereafter, say earlier I spoke to him, he said he will come around 8.
Or you mean after you sent the message saying ask Kat to make a turn?
It's possible.
No, that's not possible, actually, because you said ask Kat to make a turn at 19:10 in the evening. He responds at 19:11. I spoke to him earlier. So it couldn't have been that he made a phone call after you, in the 50 seconds or whatever.
But at the same time, I don't know, when he says I spoke to him earlier, it could have been the fact that maybe he might have spoken to either the wife or any of the people who were there. And then I'm talking to Kat, and then Kat says, I spoke to him earlier, and that he said he'll come around 8. Not necessarily meaning because of the fact that he interacted with me, but with any other person. Then he said, no, I've already spoken to my wife or to so-and-so, I'll be that side around 8. So to me, it's neither here nor there. But I know I never communicated or invited him earlier or spoke to him earlier.
Okay. And then I'm going to move off this. After this,
Before you move,
you have further questions.
yes, and on this. on this same topic. General, and I think we have to work with ordinary construction of these follow-ups, how the communication is flowing. You tell Sergeant Ngosi at 19:10:15, you say, ask Kat to make a 10 at 19:10:15. At 19:11:14, a minute later, he says, I spoke to him earlier, he promised to come around 8 p.m. So from his response, it's clear that he has, at least that's what is being proposed to you, and I'm supporting that from his response to you, it's clear that he has invited Mr. Matlala, or he has already told Mr. Matlala to come to your house. And there's no intervening telephone call between your message and his response. There is no intervening call. Within a minute of your message, he comes back, he says, I have spoken to him earlier, and he had already promised he'll be there at 8 o'clock. That's what this is. That's what it conveys on the face of it, without interpretation.
Logically speaking, Chair, it does not necessarily mean that the fact that he said, I spoke to him earlier, and then he said he'll make a call, it means that he was ever asked to make a 10 earlier by me.
What else? What are the possibilities? What does it possibly mean?
The possibility is that I was talking to Kat earlier, and then I told him that we are here and that your wife is here, or he told me that my wife is there, and then at around 8 o'clock I'll make a 10, without me being the one now to
So
say anything.
Ngosi, are you now telling us that Ngosi knew that Mrs. Matlala is at your house?
I don't know.
Okay. So you're speculating.
I don't know. All I'm saying is that I also don't want to own up onto the conversation between Matlala and Ngosi and the interpretation of maybe why when Ngosi says I spoke to him earlier, then it means it was for the second time he gets invited. It's not how it worked.
You don't know how it worked, you're telling us. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, and we are suggesting to you then. You say you don't know how it worked. I am suggesting to you how I think it worked, or how I propose it worked, just looking at this. I don't know what background conversations happened, but what I'm suggesting to you is that you send a message, and within a minute, Sergeant Ngosi says, I spoke to him earlier. He promised to come around 8 p.m. So what I'm suggesting to you is that where he says I spoke to him earlier, he doesn't mean in the period after you sent your message. He means another time, because otherwise it would reflect here that there was a call. But also a minute is too short for him to have made a call and then say I spoke to him earlier. He would otherwise have said I just spoke to him. He says he will be there around 8. So here's my construction, and that I want you to comment on. I spoke to him earlier means earlier than your message to him, tell him to make a 10. He promised to come around 20 hours. Sergeant Ngosi is relaying a much earlier conversation before Mrs. Matlala was said to be unable to drive. That's what I'm suggesting this means.
That is when we must now accept that Kat was talking to his wife, because he knew where his wife was.
No, we can't accept that. We don't know the facts. You also don't know it as a fact.
No. Commissioner Baloyi, there's no way Kat didn't know where his wife was.
Yes, he may well have known, because for a number of reasons, including that Sergeant Ngosi told him that your wife is going to be or is at Commissioner Sibiya's house. There are all those possibilities. I'm suggesting to you, let's work with what is known. What is known is what is before us, and what you have told us, in fact, happened that day that Mrs. Matlala was at your house. Mr. Matlala came to your house. Those facts we know from your evidence. The other facts that we know is you said, ask Kat to make a 10. And it's been put to you by the chair, amongst others, that, but this is an invitation for him to come to your house. We know you said, make a 10. Another known fact is Sergeant Nkosi says to you, I spoke, within a minute of your message, Sergeant Nkosi says, I spoke to him earlier and he said he will come around 8 o'clock. That's another known fact. And last known fact is there's no intervening telephone call between your message and his response. And what I'm suggesting to you, what's being suggested to you, is on these known facts, it appears that Sergeant Nkosi had already earlier in the day invited or told Mr. Matlala that he should come to your house. That's what it appears like.
You see, Chair, I'm looking at the chair now. When you have a chicken or a goat and you want it to enter into this door, and you're pushing it and it tries to go and you bring it here and try to reason you bring it here. Now, Commissioner Baloyi put a fact, and as I tried to respond, she said, no. Then she goes and she goes. Then I try to. Then you understand that she actually wants me to enter into that one door, and it's a problem for me. It's really a don't overwhelm me. The authority is different. I am sitting here where I am, and you are at a higher authority in such a way that I have to respect the authority. And the fact that where you are coming from, you're speaking from a position of power, does not necessarily mean that now it compels me to concede. And then the moment I concede, then the media, he considered this, he was grilled for this, he was forced to this. It's unfair.
Okay. General, I don't want to, I know you said you're directing yourself to the chair, but can I just clarify myself? Can I just clarify? I don't want you to make any concessions that are not based on your truth or fact. I don't want you to do that. And it's quite competent as an answer when I say to you, it appears, after I say, this is the fact, this is a fact, this is a known fact, you can say to me, no, you're wrong, Commissioner. Those are not known facts. When I say to you, it appears, you can say to me, you're wrong, that's not how it appears. And it is what it is.
Well,
So,
I'm asking, Commissioner, be open to also another point of view.
I am. I promise you I am.
Now, when I put my point of view, then Commissioner put a cul-de-sac this side, and then as I try to take this other direction, another cul-de-sac and say, no, we're going there. And that's my problem.
Okay, check. General, the chair has heard you. I think he will admonish me as is necessary.
Where I'm saying, I don't even know where to start responding to what you already said, Commissioner, with respect, because she said she was asking a question, and as I tried to jump in to respond, and then she cut, and then she went again. So I'm just trying to say I forgot everything that she said at this present moment, because what occupied my mind now is the unfair manner in which I'm being channeled to go into a particular door.
I think subject to the chair's guidance, I really would like to get your answer. If you're not happy, if you want me to repeat it and the chairperson is happy for me to repeat what I was putting to you, I will repeat it. And if you don't want to answer or you...
Please repeat it for me. I want to answer it.
Okay, so what I put to you was, here are the known facts, right? We deal with facts, I'm putting to you not speculation. I'm putting to you the known facts. And I start by listing them before I get to say, this is what it looks like. Are you okay with me so far? I don't want to overload you with detail or information. So what I put to you is the facts that we know now is Mrs. Matlala was at your house. on the day, on the 14th of September 2024. We know that for a fact. You accept that?
I do.
Okay. We know for a fact that Mr. Matlala was at your house on the 14th of September. You accept that?
I do.
Okay. We know for a fact that you sent a message to Sergeant Nkosi at 1910 to ask Matlala to make a 10. You accept that?
Yes.
Okay. 4, you accept, we know as a fact that Sergeant Nkosi responded within a minute of your message to say, I spoke to him earlier. He promised to come around 2000. You accept that's a fact that we know
that's correct.
from these WhatsApp messages.
That's correct.
And then lastly, the last fact that we know is from this record of WhatsApp messages, there is no telephone call from Mr. Nkosi between your message and his response to you. At least we don't see that.
That's correct.
You accept that?
Yes.
Okay. So those are the facts that I say we know from evidence. And then here's my proposition from those facts. It appears from these facts, it looks like from these facts that Mr. Sergeant Nkosi, when he spoke to Mr. Matlala earlier, as he tells you, I spoke to him earlier, and he said he would come around 8. From that, it appears that, in fact, in the earlier conversation that he's referring to, he, in fact, spoke to him, to Mr. Matlala, about coming to your house in the earlier conversation. That's what it appears like. And all I'm asking is, do you agree? It may be wrong completely. That's not what happened. So that's why we're talking appearances. Do you agree that that's what it appears like? He invited him earlier.
I don't agree for simple reasons, Chair. The Commissioner Baloyi creates the impression that the role players that were on stage there is only me, Nkosi, Matlala, only that. Forgetting that there was General Sintumula, General Tema, General Shibiri, and also other people that were there. To an extent that the role that could have been played by any of the people that were also there, that could have also spoken to Kat, Matlala, or the fact that Mr. Matlala could have also spoken to his wife, himself. And then when Nkosi calls or received that message or say, I spoke to him earlier, I said he'll be there around 10. We don't know that he said, no, I know, I spoke to my wife earlier, and then I'll be there around about 8. Then you send such a message. It's also possible. So all I'm asking, let us be open to also other explanations or suggestions.
General, I mean, that's your answer to me. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Sim.
Sorry, what you've said, you've forgotten another important fact, which is what I put to you when I said to you that it looks like you had asked him prior, and that is that the only conversation that Sergeant Nkosi had with Mr. Matlala that day, before this 1900 hours time, is at 7:25 in the morning. There wasn't any other conversation between the two of them. So it doesn't allow for your theory that there would have been some conversation pertaining to this. You know, if there was a call that Mrs. Matlala is in the need of assistance of her husband because she can't drive, that would have been later on. That would have been after the party began. The only communication between the two of them was 7:25 in the morning until this later in the evening. So it doesn't allow for that hypothesis.
I wish I could ask a question, but I'm here to answer, not to ask questions. Now, how I will put it is this way. I don't think the evidence leader do know how many phones does Mr. Nkosi have and how many phones does Mr. Matlala have. In such a way that you can say, I only see that one call 7 in the morning and that last call, that one. But in between, there could have been any other communication or conversation on any other device. So all I'm saying is that we cannot bank and go with our whole weight on saying there's no any other communication other than what we see.
Leave it here. I just, I put it to you that your interpretation of this is not believable. That as Commissioner Beloy says, it appears that there was an earlier.
Well, it's my plea that
request.
the chair also believe my story.
We will assess the evidence at the appropriate stage. Thank you, General. Thank you.
I'm
Yes,
not going
Mr.
to
Sim.
respond to that.